Oh, we are being live streamed. Okay, friends. So, hey everybody. Martha Krejci here. That is how you pronounce all of those consonants super close together. What we're going to be talking about today is the 11-day jumpstart. My goal for these videos is not for them to be super long, but for them to be informative enough for you to know whether it's something that you feel like you want to do for yourself or not. And whether you want to do it or not, either way is totally cool. You are not going to get any of us chasing you around the internet trying to put you in some sort of virtual headlock. Really, at the end of the day, all that this is about is you and your life and your health and your, what you want for yourself, right? And that's really what it is. We're not trying to be weirdos here, okay? So anywho, let's just go ahead and jump into it. As you have questions, which you may, as you have questions, if you're on the Zoom call, just go ahead and put in the chat question and then what the question is whenever it comes up. If you're on Facebook, then go ahead and put, or, in the future, this is actually going to be on YouTube and such as well. If you have questions, then just go ahead and put them in the comment section of wherever you see the video, and somebody will follow up with you and get the answer for you. Okay. So this is not like you see this in a year, you ask a question and then nobody ever responds. You will get a response from us because we are not fly by night. We are committed and we are consistent, and we continue to do this over and over and over again. This can be trusted. Okay. All right. So again, hi, I'm Martha Krejci. I actually created the 11-day jumpstart. So in a nutshell, the 11-day jumpstart is a way for us to be able to flush out the inflammation that's in our bodies. Now, let me make that make more sense. Okay. Because whenever anybody says flush anything, I think most of us are like, I don't want that really, right? And it's not like that, okay? There's one instance in the entire 11 days where you will have maybe and how do I say this? How do you even say this right? A substantial number two. I think that's the best way to say it. And it's usually just once, okay? So it's not like, you have to take a day off work in order to be able to go potty all day. It's like there's one substantial one and you're like, wow, where did that come from? And then you move about your day freely, okay? So you move about your day actually feeling a lot lighter than when you started your day. I'm going to stop with the poop jokes. Okay, so 11-day jumpstart, what can you expect? Most people lose between 7 and 15 pounds in the 11 days. Now, does that mean that we are starving ourselves? Does that mean that we are doing some sort of weird diet protocol? No and no. First of all, I don't even have you counting calories. I don't want you to count calories. The reason for that is because whenever we do, there's an obsession that happens even in the counting of calories. There's a weird sort of like hyper fixation that happens around what have I eaten? What do I have left to eat for the day? That sort of weirdness creates, if you don't already have a food problem, it will create a food problem in you. So if that has happened to you in the past, there is nothing wrong with you. It's how our brains are designed. That's how our brains work. And now you can maybe start to unravel why the weight loss industry is set up the way that it is. Because don't you see it out there most of the time? Don't you see the calorie counting and that sort of thing out there most of the time? You guys, the weight loss industry is really, it's setting us up for failure, because if we actually do lose weight, if we actually do get healthy, then we don't need them. And they can't have that. They're one of the biggest industries that there is alongside the pharmaceutical industry, which don't get me started, okay? So that's that. Let's understand things for what they are. So again, hi, Martha Krejci. I've said it 3 times now, but I'm going to say I geek out on things and I try to understand the why behind things so I can understand the truth behind things or the lack thereof. And so the 11-day jumpstart is a way for us to be able to, in a very real and sustainable way is a way for us to be able to move into eating in a way that allows our body to heal itself. Okay. So when we're flushing out the inflammation, our bodies are able to do what they're supposed to do. So what happens right now, let's talk about inflammation, because I know when I first started studying inflammation years ago, before I started really digging into it, it just was one of those vanilla staticky words. It was one of those words that I heard on, commercials for ibuprofen, right? They would say, oh, well, this, helps with inflammation and da, 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 da. And I never really knew what it was. I just knew that ibuprofen apparently helps with it. And so now, after doing all of the research on it, inflammation, chronic low-level inflammation, I'll go into that for just a second. Chronic low-level inflammation takes 3 out of 5 people every year. Did you know that? That's real. Chronic low-level inflammation is what leads to every single thing you don't want to happen in your body. So obviously obesity. And then, diabetes is very, very easy after that. Autoimmune issues, cancer, heart disease, strokes. I mean, just you name it. I believe that anything that you really name that you're scared would happen to you, the very first step to that is going to be chronic low-level inflammation. And so while I talk about weight loss being a thing that happens here, because it absolutely does, the weight loss is actually a byproduct of us getting rid of inflammation. And what the inflammation is doing to us is it is moving us, really hurtling us toward this brick wall that we don't even know is there until we hit it. So a lot of times, people don't realize they have heart issues until they have a heart attack. They don't realize they have brain issues until they have a stroke, right? They don't realize they have these clots until something has happened, until an event has happened. They don't realize that they have cancer until it is really far gone and they're actually starting to feel it, right? Cancer isn't something you feel right away. And so with this chronic low-level inflammation, it is setting the stage for a storm in your body, and that is proof. So that stat that I just spouted off to you, I will give you the link to the source material for that stat, and you are welcome to go to the page and read through everything that chronic low-level inflammation is doing to you. Okay, that is a government supported scientific stat right there. Okay, like they're actually even reporting it. So that said, my goal is if we can not eradicate, because I don't know how possible that is since we have so many toxins coming into our bodies every day. I don't know if eradication is possible. So I'm not going to make promises I can't keep. But I do know that we're able to get rid of a lot of existing and then future inflammation if we're doing what we do in the 11-day jumpstart. And when you get rid of that, naturally your weight starts falling off. A lot of times it's people's tummies first. Your stomach isn't going to fall off, right? But it's going to get smaller and smaller. A lot of times that's where a lot of the bloat is held, right? Or your fingers or your toes or your legs, your calves. Sometimes people have those it's sort of it gets your legs get really hard, right? And so that's stuff that starts going away. Your circulation is going to get better. Your brain fog is going to lift. All of this stuff is going to happen just because we're getting rid of the inflammation in our body. And you might be like, okay, cool. Now, how does that happen, right? Well, let me tell you what you can expect on a day-to-day journey within the 11-day jumpstart. It's very simple, guys. My goal in everything that I do, whether it's business or whether it's this, everything that I do, my goal is to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to do it. I don't want for you to be like, okay, so now I have to do this, and then I have to go over here and do this, and I have to, no, I just want you to check off a list and do the things. And then say, okay, cool, I did that today. All right, done. Did that today. Okay, cool, done. That's all I want for you, because I know how hard it is. I know how complicated they make it. And so my job is to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to do this, which is why we have thousands of people in the 11-day Jumpstart. It's why we have the results that we do, is because it's doable, guys. Okay. And so the 11-day Jumpstart, here's what a day-to-day looks like. Okay. Day-to-day journey looks like. You can't say look in the same sentence twice. Anyway, so you're going to get a workbook. So whenever you sign up, you're going to get a workbook. We'll talk about that here in a second. So you're going to get a workbook. You can print it out if you want to. If you're one of those people, do it. If not, just look at it online. That's totally fine. Whenever you get it, the very beginning of the workbook is going to explain different things that you can do, right? To be able to set your benchmark for yourself. If you want to weigh yourself, if you want to take before and after pictures, we're not making you take before and after pictures. We're not those folks. However, if you want to, we ain't mad at you either. But then some people also just, they'll measure themselves and that will be their, before and after. It's for you. It's really for you. Okay. And so, there's a few different ways to be able to measure your before and after. So that'll be described. There's a style of eating that we do in there where you will have many, many, many recipes to what you want to make. And again, let me circle back to the fact that we are not counting calories. Okay. You are not saying, okay, well, I've got room for this today and I've got room for this today. Because why? Because that's complicated. Again, with the complication, we don't need to paralyze ourselves. We've already had a hard enough time trying to do this our entire lives. We don't need to make this more difficult right now. What we need to do is we need something sustainable, something easy, and something that works, right? And so all of the different recipes that I have for you in there, doesn't matter what type of eater you are. Okay. If you like your veggies, that's awesome. If you're a vegetarian, that's great. We have those. If you just like chicken, there's plenty of chicken in there. If you like your beef, if you like your pork, whatever you like, we've got stuff in there. And then also let me just, by the way, there's also desserts in there. And you can have one a day. And so what we do with that, because I most certainly do like myself a dessert, what I do is I just cut my dessert in half, and then I eat half of it early in the day and then half at night. And then here's something that happens. I never in life thought this would happen, okay? Never in life. Some days you don't even want dessert. Some days you're just going to want like watermelon, or you're going to want like an apple. You know what I'm saying? Like some days you're just going to want fruit or something instead. And you're going to be like, who actually am I? And then you're going to be all proud of yourself and be like, I'm like kind of a boss right now, making really good choices. And it's what I want. Right. And so, anywho, you can have desserts. There's that. So again, back to the Jumpstart. So on day one, you're going to, Sherry said, what, watermelon? Yeah, girl, watermelon. So, you're not going to eat the whole watermelon. You know what I'm saying? Our whole goal with this is to understand our body and to know when it's satisfied and when it's full. Because in the world that we live in right now, there's no way, if you're eating the foods that they're selling to you right now, which again, if you're doing that, it is not your fault. They are selling these foods to you, okay? And they are trying to, and this is what all businesses do. Sorry, I'm going to get in my business strategist brain here, but they're going to try to maximize shareholder profits. That is their only goal for a business. It doesn't matter what kind of business it is. The reason it exists is to maximize shareholder profits. Nothing else matters to them. Let's understand that. Okay. Now it's easier to understand why sugar is in everything. Because they need you to be addicted to things, to their foods, so you continue to buy their foods. So they continue to make what? Money. That's what it's all about. It was never about us. It was never about even what we like and whatever. It was about them making money, okay? And so when they are trying to do that, all that we are doing on the receiving end of that, if we're living in that world of them selling to us and we're just like, oh my gosh, here we go, like I'm gonna eat this thing again, then we're addicted to what they're selling us because they're selling us drugs. Sugar's a drug, okay? And it's more strong than, what is it, heroin? To get off of sugar is that same experience. And so, that said, it was never about you and your lack of willpower, but they will most certainly make you believe that. Because the more that you believe that, sorry, I just got to say this here, the more that you believe that, the more that you're stuck in their system because they've done nothing wrong in your eyes. You're the problem in your eyes. And the more that you beat yourself up, and the more that you whittle yourself down, the more they win. And that's what I'm here to stop, okay? And so now let's get back to what we're eating. And so I want us all to be able to feel full. We will be able to feel full whenever we're not eating the things that create addiction, okay? And so the fun thing is after day 2 is usually where the addiction is broken. People will make you believe that you have to wait 30 days for an addiction to be broken. That's untrue. It's not real. You can ask anybody in the 11-day Jumpstart. 2 days in, on the 3rd day, your addiction is broken. It's broken. Anything else after day 2 is a choice. It's no longer the need or the driving by McDonald's and all of a sudden your car's going in and you're like, I'm not sure what's happening. And but where you're not really at the wheel, but your addiction is, that stops after day 2. But again, they would love for you to believe that it takes 30 days because if you believe that, you won't do it because it sounds hard, doesn't it? It sounds like something that you're not able to do. And so let's go back. Day 1. Says how much water you need to drink that day. It tells you what food to eat. And then if you don't want to eat that meal, it's no big deal. You just go to the swap out recipes and you grab something else instead. And the meals are really good. They're really good, guys. People keep putting more and more pictures of the food that they're eating and they're like, this is so good. Their families are eating it. Their kids are eating it. You know it's good when kids are eating it. You know what I'm saying? And so anywho, you've got the meals there. It's not a big deal at all. And then it tells you what to drink. So we have the only thing in all of this in the 11-day Jumpstart. So like, again, I created the program, blah, blah, blah. I have, I show up daily live to coach it and actually go through it with you guys to let you know what you're going to experience that day. And then to let you know on the other side, what's going to happen, so here's what you're going to experience today and here's what tomorrow is going to feel like. So you always know going into the day, what is going to happen. Nothing is a surprise. Nothing is a surprise to you. I've been through it way too many times. It's true every single time. Okay. And it's not hard. It's not hard. So anyway, where was I? Oh, the actual program itself, absolutely free. Okay. I do not charge you for the program itself. The 11-day Jumpstart, that is my give back. That is my tithing back into the world. I have businesses and things like that. I don't need to charge for the 11-day Jumpstart. What you do need though, is you need the antioxidant that we use that does a lot of the heavy lifting on getting the inflammation out of your body. Okay, I'm not going to get all sciencey. I'll do it in the 11-day Jumpstart where I explain why this and water work together to be able to do this dynamic duo thing. But that's the only thing that you need. And let's be super realistic. That antioxidant isn't even expensive. Okay. It will change your entire world and it's not even expensive. So there is that. So again, on the day 1, you're going to get a checklist. Here's how much water you're going to drink. Here's here's how many ounces of the antioxidant you're going to drink at this time and blah, blah, blah. Here's the food that you're going to eat. And then also I have, like I said, my daily live videos. They run 10 to 15 minutes. They're never very long. Again, my goal is to make your life easier for you. I'm not going to make you watch me on video for 30 minutes a day. Okay. It's not going to happen. Aside from that, we have two other things that I put in there. One thing is a contest. I do a giveaway every single time, and it's not for the person that loses the most weight, because quite frankly, I would love for you to lose weight, and I love to watch people lose weight, but I think it's an unfair thing. Because some people are bigger than other people. I mean, that's easy math right there. And that would mean that those people obviously are going to win things faster because they're bigger and they have more to lose. And so they'll lose it faster. Like, that's just realistic talk, right? And so that makes it obviously unfair. What I do instead, and I think what has really helped grow the culture of that group in there, is I make sure that the person that wins is somebody who has been checking in every day. And you basically just check in on the videos every day and say that you ate your food, you drank your water, and you did your activity, right? And so there are those three things that happen every day, but then you get bonus points. The bonus points that you get are for when you show up for somebody else in the group. So if somebody is coming in, and saying that they're having a rough day, because I want for you to do that. We don't hide bad days, okay? Because we're very realistic. We take care of each other. There's something very special about the community in there. It is not self-serving one iota, not even a little bit. We're all here for each other. Okay. And so if you're having a bad day, we want for you to share that you're having a bad day. That allows us to be able to rally around you. I think in this world that we live in, we're told or we're made to feel like we need to keep that quiet, or that we need to hide that, or that is some sort of deficiency on our part, that we're having a rough day. And it's not. We're human. We should be allowed to be rallied around, but people won't know to do that if we can't share openly and honestly. And in this group, that's what we get to do. So I'm saying right now, if you're contemplating doing this, please understand, if you're having a rough day, you have got to tell us, because that allows us to serve you. Okay. And that's what we just love to be able to do. And so people get bonus points, obviously, for rallying around people, but then also for the cheerleading and the rah, 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 whenever somebody just comes in and says, oh my gosh, I'm down 40 pounds since January. And we're all like, freaking yes, man. Like, there was somebody the other day said that their A1C numbers, so they were a type 2 diabetic. They went from having uncontrolled to controlled diabetes. Their meds have gone down 50%. Okay. Usually when you're told you have diabetes, that you ain't going down in meds. Okay. Like, that ain't a thing that happens typically. So there is that, and their A1C numbers went down from 8.0 to 6.3. Come on, right? Like, there's just amazing things that are happening in there. And it's awesome. But then we rah, rah, rah those people, right? And so the community is just like buzzing with love and with like just the championing of each other, right? Like, it's different. It's different. If you guys are in the community, you got to holler in the comment section or something. You got to say like what the community is really like, because it's serious business in there. So, okay, so that is the 11-day jumpstart. The other free thing, because I said two other additional things. One is a contest. So somebody wins something right at the end. And then the other thing that I give to you guys it's called Big Think. And it's a course that I have, that I've had for, I think it's about 3 years now. It's a mindset course, which is where a lot of people just kind of glaze over, right? Because they're like, oh gosh, I don't need that. If you say you don't need it, you probably do. Like, that's usually how it works, but you'll figure that out. In the very first 3 days, you get Big Think in your account, and you get to watch Big Think for free. for the first 3 days. And then I don't try to sell it to you afterward or anything like that. I just take it out of your account. The reason that you only have it in there for 3 days is because I know human psychology. And I know that if I just say, get it done sometime never happens. You may have very good intentions to get it done, but you will not get it done. Unless I say this is going to be gone by Thursday morning, in which case you will get it done. And whenever you do big think, you change. And I think the best way for me to explain the way in which you change is that whenever you're born and you start living life, you start picking up limitations. You start picking up people's ideas of you, and maybe not even their real ideas of you, but words that they have spoken about you that you have kept and that you have kind of turned into who you are because they spoke them at you, and maybe you were so young you didn't know the difference of whether that was true or not, and so that became an identity. Okay, now that's a thing that happens. That's a very real thing that happens. And unfortunately, some people never even realize that that has happened. And so they can't move into the place that they really, truly were designed to be. And so in Big Think, what we do is we tear off all of sort of like the onion layers of people's expectations of us or what people have spoken over us. We tear all of that off to reveal what God sees in us. And that's it. We reveal to our own selves what God sees us as. And whenever you do that, guys, life changes. It just absolutely changes. And so that's why people think Big Think is such a big deal. And I'm not taking any of that glory. That is not mine. That's God's. But that's why it works. It works because it's actual truth being spoken over you. And so that you will have that for the first 3 days. And so whenever you go through that the first 3 days, all of a sudden you're going to be coming into a version of yourself that is very different, that can do this, that chooses to do this. And by day 3, are you seeing how I have days lined up? I don't do things by accident. You know where we're at in day 3, right? Do you remember? Day 1 and day 2 are rough. Day 1 and day 2 is where you're breaking addiction. Day 3 is where we make choices. You've got Big Think until day 3. And then we start making choices. We start living as who we are and who God sees us as. And then the rest is just so good. The rest is just so good. That's where all of a sudden the momentum starts kicking up and people are like, oh my gosh. And we start getting into day 6 and day 7 and people are like, has it been 7 days already? Like, have you ever been on a diet before where you're like 7 days in, you're like, I know it's day 7. I know darn well it's day 7 because I haven't eaten since day 3. Like this is not that. We don't give a rip how much you eat. You eat until you're full, right? You eat until you're satisfied because you're no longer addicted to things. So you're not going to overeat because that's painful. You're not going to do anything like that. And the food that we're eating isn't going to be terrible food for you, right? So you're not going to have the same experience. It's all very, very different. And so again, people lose between 7 and 15 pounds by the end of the 11 days on average. Okay, that's not to mention people's blood panels changing, people's fertility changing. It's not to mention like all of the different things that it affects in our body that isn't because we're healing it. We're not doing anything, right? What we're doing is we're getting our body into a place where our body can heal itself like it's designed to do. It's just for so long, it's been fighting off all of the toxins and the inflammation from the crud that they're trying to sell you, that they're trying to get you to eat, that they keep you addicted to, which then your body is fighting off forever and ever, amen, and it never has time to heal itself. And that is what leads to chronic low-level inflammation, which then leads to basically, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but I do have to be realistic. I will never lie to you. What that chronic low-level inflammation leads to is it leads to what we're used to here on in the Western part of the world, which is pain, 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 all the way up to death. We have this pain cycle, or it's not even a cycle, it's a pain ramp up, and it gets worse and worse until you die. Whereas if our body is healing itself, what we do is we lengthen our telomeres, right? We start reverse aging. We start feeling better. We start having more energy. Our brain fog lifts. We become different people, and we're not in pain up until we die. We are just thriving, and we are just living life. And then one day our number is up, and that's okay. It's not the same, guys. But we are told on a daily basis, via commercials and whatever, we are told to expect to be in pain, to expect, this is just you getting older. You should expect dementia. You should expect Alzheimer's. You should expect all of these different things that degrade you. We shouldn't expect that. We shouldn't. So anywho, hi, I'm Martha, and that's the 11-day Jumpstart. The way that you get into the 11-day Jumpstart, I do sometimes take a soapbox. Sorry, I do get really passionate about things sometimes because it freaking matters to me. The reason I created this is because I lost my dad to a massive heart attack out of nowhere. And I believe that if I had known then what I know now, things would have been different. But in all of God's grace, I get to help other people not go through that. And so that's why I do what I do. In case you're like, why is she doing this? That's why I do it. I do it so you can be with your family. I do it so your kids can have you and your grandkids can have you. That's why I do what I do. Okay, so the way that you jump into this is you just reach out to the person that invited you here, okay? And you say, hey, I want to jump into the 11-day Jumpstart. I watched the video of that crazy lady Martha, right? If you're in here because of me, then you just reach out to me and I will get you in, okay? But if you're in here because somebody else brought you in here, you reach out to them, and then they are going to go ahead and get you into the Jumpstart. Like I said, all you have to do is grab the antioxidant that is so tasty. Can I tell you how tasty this antioxidant is? It is so tasty that we just had like a big get together. I think there were about 3,000 people last week. There was a big get together for over the course of like 4 days or something. This drink is so tasty that they actually have a place called Club Red in the get together, and it's got like a DJ and we're all dancing and everything, and all we're drinking is this antioxidant drink. Do you know how fun that was? There was no beer, no liquor, no nothing. We're all drinking antioxidants and getting, I think, wasted. It was the funniest experience in my life. It was so great. But anywho, there is that. What questions do we have, and how am I doing on time? Boy, look at that. I'm getting real good at this.